Hi everybody, this is Kevin Swigum from Radio Web with another Cloudspokes challenge entry. And this entry is for the inbound email service to any object challenge. And the basic premise is that you can set up email services within Salesforce. And what we want to do is have a very generic service that can look at content of the email and decide which object it should create. So in some cases I may want to create an account, in some cases I may want to create a case or a contact or anything. Or even extending to a custom object that I've created. So the email that's going to come in, the basic premise was that the body would have some sort of a string in it that would activate a particular email service rule, and then it would have this content in here where it would have field names and then values within. And the particular challenge was that in some cases, if I'm linking to a contact, I might receive a name or a case number, for example, and I'd have to look up the proper case or contact dynamically. So that made it especially fun. So to start out, I built a very simple, what I call rules engine that allows you to define your services, and you can have any number of services in here. If I go back to the email service screen, I can basically define as many as I want to, where I give it just a basic name, I tell it what object I'm looking at, what are the key phrases that are in there, and I want to be able to turn them on and off because there might be some times where I'll get these emails in and I want it to stop. And then what I did is I created a simple test object to just look at the different fields that are available in the field types. So this is the email service, and this particular one is just called test email service. It's pointed to email service test object, which is really just a very basic. If I were to look at one, I can put in different types. I wanted to test currency and percents and text and pick lists and all that type of thing. So I created that, and then I wanted to define fields. So I can define the field name, and when I say the field name, that would map to whatever I'm expecting in those brackets. And then I'm mapping it to an object field name, and so this is the guts of force.com and the internal value, so that whenever I receive something on an email that's labeled active, I know that that maps to my field name, checkbox test __ C. So I can build that up, and it's fairly basic. It's just using the standard page layout functionality, but I can create. So if I were to look at a field and I knew that I was going to start receiving a website on the email, I could then create a new email service field and call it website URL. So that's what I'm expecting on the email, and then I could say website. Now the other thing I wanted to point out was that lookup field. So again, one of the challenges was in some cases I might be receiving account information that I want to map to my new record, but I'm not going to receive the ID. I'm going to receive some sort of other identifier. So I'm going to instead allow the user to say, well, okay, I'm looking at the account C field on this test table, but when I'm looking up to the account table to figure out which one to get, this is the field that I want to look at. So a lot of cases I might be looking at name, but I might be looking at case number or something like that. So I have my email service rule set up and all the fields are mapped, and so now I'm actually going to send over the email. So I can bring up a test email, and it's mapped to the email address that's listening on my Salesforce instance. And I just assemble an email message where I'm sending the name of the account, in this case it's that email test object, and the name of the record, and I might say test Cloudspokes. And that account number, again, I'm not mapping to the account name. I want it to watch the account number, and I don't want to have to send a specific ID. So there's an account in my Salesforce instance that has an account number of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I also want to map to active equals true. Active is actually a Boolean or a checkbox on that test email table, so I want to be able to say if I send true or yes or 1, that's automatically going to translate that to checked. It's also reading in some date values in there. I could send date times, I could send pick list values, etc. So I'm going to send that off. And as soon as I do, and I come back then to my list of email service tests, and I'm going to hit go. And there's my test Cloudspokes record already, and so it's pretty quick. And I can see there's my checkbox. It mapped to Radial Enterprises for me. It filled in that text area. It filled in the date. And so I could have set up fields for all these other different field types, and it would have filled them in. So that's great. So then one other use case could be that I want to create accounts. And whenever you want to create accounts, I always want to create contacts too. So an interesting challenge I thought was, well, what if I want an email to come in and I want to create both an account and a contact? And that could have gotten really complicated in terms of trying to figure out which records to create. So I thought, well, why not create 2 different email services that can fire off of the same email? So in this case, I have a new account service and a new contact service. One's mapped to the account table, one's mapped to the contact table, and the other part that's in there is a sort order. So I have all of these fields that are looking at the account. So it's mapping, again, the values that I'm looking for on the email and the values that are going to stuff into the account table. And in this case, I'm going to create an account number also. That sort order up here means that I can fire multiple email services when one email comes in, and I can sort which ones to process first. So if I have the account process first and then I have the contact process second, I can tell it's both looking at the same key phrase, and I can tell the contact one, okay, watch for that account number, the same account number on the same email that just got created from the account service, and map to it. So now, when I have both of those fired together, and I create a new email with that key phrase in there, and it has account name is Cloudspokes, let's call it Cloudspokes 1, and that account number, I'm going to put just a generic number in there because it's going to be creating the account first. I have address, information, etc. And down here I have first name Bob, last name Williams. So when I send that, and I come back to now accounts, and I go to all accounts, there's my Cloudspokes 1. Has all the fields filled in that I had mapped on there. And there's Bob Williams. So created two records in one email request. So you can string records together to have them create the mapped structure that you need. That's it for my Cloudspokes submission, and this was a fun one, and thanks to the Cloudspokes group for putting it up there for us, and hope you enjoy.